The Portfolio Committee for Correctional Services says there's nothing wrong with the new meal plan for inmates introduced by the department. This comes after some prisoners complained about the quality of food they're being served. SABC News spoke to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Khomotso Ramolubeng, who confirmed that the new plan does not result in starving. Joining us now for more on this is SABC News reporter Calvin Luhla. Good afternoon, Calvin. Thank you very much for joining us as always. Before we get to your interview with the Portfolio Chair, let's just start for the benefit of those who might not be fully aware. Let's start with what the meal plan comprises of.
Good afternoon to you, Mfundo, and to our SABC viewers at home. You would know that the Department of Correctional Services, like most departments, they are running under budget cuts. They are cutting off budgets because they don't have enough money. So now they have decided to come with a new meal plan for prisoners. You would know that there have been complaints from society that prisoners are living large. They are eating meat, they are drinking milk and everything, something that a normal person on the street does not have. So now they are complaining that that meal is not suitable for them. The new meal comprises of pork, beans, eggs, beef, chicken, fish and giblets. So this is what the Department of Correctional Services is offering to the inmates.
So this is some of the protein that they'll be having in that 12-day cycle. Then to the Portfolio Chair. What did the Portfolio Chair have to say to you, given the numerous complaints of late from some of these inmates around, if anything, the portion size?
Ramabulungs is telling us that it's a norm for inmates to complain. They complain for everything. You'd remember that those people I'm talking about, they are incarcerated, so they complain about everything, visitations, they complain about food. But in this instance, she's saying that for them to complain, it's not surprising because the meal that they are complaining about, she was there when it was catered in KwaZulu-Natal, one of the prisons in KwaZulu-Natal. She even tasted it and she can confirm that there's nothing wrong with the meal. But let's listen in on what she is saying.
You must understand this. When you transgress, when you commit a crime, and you go inside prison, how you will live, your living conditions outside and inside prison differs totally. How you settle your life when you are outside and how you settle it inside, it's a total different story. I choose when to eat breakfast, when to eat lunch, and when to eat dinner. But when you are in a correctional facility, you don't choose. The system tells you when do you eat breakfast, when do you eat lunch, and when do you eat dinner. And that you have no control of. I can choose whether today I want to have chicken, tomorrow I want to have a beef stew, the other day I want to have pizza, whatever. In a correctional facility, you do not have that choice to choose on what type of food you need to eat. You eat what is designed and what the center would have agreed on a meal plan that in these coming 7 days, this is how the kitchen is going to prepare food.
Straightforward. Saying that as an inmate, because you have transgressed, you are in prison, you can't decide that today I need meat, at night I need a beef, and you must just accept whatever that the prison is offering you.
No, most certainly there are limitations there. But there's another dynamic to the story, Calvin. Golden Miles Budu, the spokesperson for the South African Prisoners Association for Human Rights, shares the views of these prisoners, saying the portions are far too small. In fact, it goes on to say that there have been days where prisoners, even before the introduction of this meal plan, where prisoners would have slept on an empty stomach. So that most certainly for many brings in another dynamic, because he's been considered a legitimate voice for prisoners for the longest time. So what more did the prisoners say that correlates with what he has been saying?
What he has been saying is the opposite of what the Department of Correctional Services is saying. The department is actually saying that inmates, they get meals 3 times a day, like most of us outside. They get breakfast, they get a lunch, and they served at dinner. The only problem that they have is that the dinner that they serve, it's being served at around 4 p.m. So it's a challenge for them, because if you eat at around that time, it means at around 7, 8, you'll be hungry again. But the Department of Correctional Services is saying that there's nothing wrong with their meal. They are served 3 times a day like most of us, but the problem is the times that their meals are served. But let's listen in to the inmates anonymously. So he managed to give us a voice voice note. Let's listen in.
The food is pathetic, meaning the putu is half a cup. The beans is uncooked. The porridge they give us in the morning is water. It's like drinking makhaya, not even a solid porridge, and that's also 1 cup. The sugar is like not even a half a teaspoon. The curry has no soup, it's dry. The cabbage is raw, half cooked. There's no salt added into it. There's no proper diet planning. It's pathetic in total. So all the space, even the beef, it's small chunks, very small piece, 1 piece sometimes.
As you have heard,
pathetic is what he says. Everything is pathetic, according to him.
This is an inmate. He managed to give us this up sound so that we can be able to show our viewers at home on what we are talking about, because sometimes we would listen to government officials and not balance a story. This guy is inside, he's 7 years in prison, in one of the prisons in KwaZulu-Natal. So he's complaining about that, especially food, saying that what they are eating is pathetic. Even animals could not eat what they are eating. Mfundo.
It's quite an interesting take, and of course the rights even of prisoners must be observed, but nevertheless this has started or sparked a huge debate on the outside, as you've stated earlier, that some people don't even get 3 meals a day. So most certainly it remains quite a big debate. Calvin, as always, thank you very much for your reportage. That's SABC News reporter Calvin Dludla there, just speaking to us following his interview with the Portfolio Committee for Correctional Services chairperson on the new meal plan for prisoners.